The opinions expressed here are those of the students and do not necessarily reflect the positions of Tyler Junior College.
Coming up on DrumBeat TV, with election time right at our front door, we've got the scoop on voting in Smith County.
And we'll talk with both the local Republican and Democratic parties to get some perspective of the candidates. DrumBeat TV starts right now.
From Studio 203 on the campus of Tyler Junior College, this is the DrumBeat.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Alexis Long.
And I'm Aji Saho. In honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we are continuing to wear pink in honor of the brave women continuing to fight their own battles with cancer.
With Election Day quickly approaching, some voters may have a hard time understanding the importance of voting. Reporter Rob King visits the Smith County Elections Office to bring you vital information.
The culmination of this election season is upon us, and the time has come for America to make its choice. Unfortunately, stressing the importance of voting rights to new generations has been a constant battle.
So there's always things on the ballot that will affect you. Even if you think the bigger ones aren't going to affect you, there's things on the ballot like maybe even a school bond election. So even if you're young right now, those could affect you even in the next, 5 to 10 years to come.
Part of the voter turnout problem, especially among millennials, may be attributed to a lack of education regarding voting procedure, such as how and where to register and vote.
Behind me is Smith County's election headquarters in the middle of downtown Tyler, where voters can come to inquire about early voting as well as registration.
You have to be registered, so that's the only condition is you have to be registered to vote in Smith County. And you need to have a photo ID, but if you don't have a photo ID, there's other provisions. You can have your voter registration card, you can have a government check or a utility bill. So there's other things if you don't happen to have that Texas photo ID that you'll be able to use.
Early voting is available and has already begun for the convenience of voters and to mitigate the inevitable long lines on Election Day.
Yes, early voting starts October the 24th and it runs through November the 4th. We're open 12 days straight. We have weekend voting as well. Anybody can early vote. You don't have to have a reason to vote. You could just show up because a lot of people want to get it out of the way and they don't want to wait in a possible line on Election Day.
Another possible contributing factor to low voter turnout, especially among youth, is a lack of faith in the system. Jamie Bitzenhofer, a TJC government professor, has a message for those disenfranchised with the political machine and wondering if their vote really matters.
Yeah, every vote does matter. There have been many, or not many, but there have been several races that have been decided by 1 or 2 votes. As early as as late as in 2008, we actually in Alaska had a race that was determined by 1 single vote. And so if you're going into a close election, your vote absolutely does matter. But even if you're not going into a close election, you have to remember that all of the polling data, all of the ways that we look at elections is determined by who is voting. And so if you want millennials or younger people to have a presence in upcoming elections, people need to turn out and register that presence so people start paying attention to them and their voices in the future.
If you find yourself exhausted by the status quo and wish to change the national conversation, change starts with you. So get out and make your voice heard. I'm Rob King for thedrumbeat.com.
Early voting began October 24th and will run until November 4th. Remember that Election Day is Tuesday, November 8th. For more info, you can head to smith-county.com and simply click on the Elections tab.
The political climate this election season has been hot, but with Election Day less than 2 weeks away, the temperature has been definitely turned up. We caught up with the Republican and Democratic Party here in Tyler to discuss their beliefs, concerns, and hopes before the big decision is made. Reporter Ricardo Mexicano brings us the Republican perspective.
It's officially crunch time in what has been described as the most important election in recent time. Emotions are set on high, and nowhere is more prevalent than in the Republican Party.
We need someone that can lead this country with jobs, safe borders, our rights to the Second Amendment, for one thing, big thing. Donald Trump's the only one of all the bunch of this running that ever signed the front of a check. The rest of these people have always only signed the back of a check.
The message has been made clear that Donald Trump is the only person that can whip the government back into shape and give the American people what they have longed for.
He will take the $20 trillion in debt. He will work on those issues, work on the borders, create jobs. And in my opinion, too, he will also help with the minorities in the inner cities that you hear them talk about. Get your house in order before you talk about other people's houses. I'm saying it's time for the government to get their house cleaned and straight, and I believe Donald Trump's the man to do it.
For many, Donald Trump represents more than just a candidate, but a glimmer of hope for the unrepresented working man.
Mr. Trump is important to me because he has become the voice of the silent majority in this country that never get heard. We want to see people working again. We want the things that made this country great. That's why his motto is, let's make America great again, because these are the things that made America great.
However, Donald Trump supporters make it clear that this election is not only about their interests, but also for the present and future generations to come.
My generation won't be around. Yours will. You all are going to be the ones that have to foot the bill.
Very important that you read everything, understand everything, and realize this vote is for you.
For America's sake, they will ride with Trump till the wheels fall off.
Don't want to be like Europe or any other country. We want to be the way we are because we are the greatest nation in the world.
Please come out and vote Trump. He's the only answer.
I'm Ricardo Mexicano for the DrumBeat.com.
Donald Trump is a controversial candidate, but for many he represents a hope for change.
On the other side of the spectrum, the Democratic Party prepares for their candidate to take Trump head on. Rob King gives us a look at what the Blue Party is up to and how they feel Hillary Clinton stacks against the right-wing nominee.
Many think of Texas as a red state, but the population is more diverse than stereotypes might suggest. The Democratic Party maintains an active and powerful voice amidst massive pushback. It's clear who the Smith County Democratic Party feels will prove the most effective president this election.
She believes in helping children. She, as soon as fresh out of college, she worked with the Children's Defense Fund, making sure that kids were eligible to go to school, allowed to go to school. She's worked with women's rights, and she's continued to work with children. CHIPS program is because of Hillary Clinton, and she, of course, attempted to get us health care when they were first in the White House, and she's done a number of things, but she's the right person at this time to lead us.
Hillary Clinton provides a stark contrast to the Republican option. Poised and subtle compared to the booming, boisterous nature of the right-wing candidate, neither has received particularly favorable attention from mainstream media, but Smith County Party Chair Falzone is undeterred in her resolve, choosing instead to focus on policy and the positive changes she believes Hillary Clinton can bring to the Oval Office.
Middle-class people don't get to send their money over to the Caymans or shelter the money in any way, and they don't receive some of the tax cuts that other people receive. She's against inequality. She believes that we have the right to make our own decisions. She's against women being controlled by the people other than themselves.
If you are a young Texas Democrat looking to get involved, the party's volunteer coordinator has no shortage of work available to spread the blue message.
Some volunteers want to do what we call block walk, which basically means going door to door, handing out candidate materials or information. Some people like to make phone calls. And we're doing a lot of phone calling, believe it or not, right here in Texas. And some people want to actually work election day or work early voting. So we have a lot of opportunities to volunteer.
The Democratic Party's belief in Clinton's leadership potential is evident in the words of these hard-working women representing it.
She's just such a wonderful, experienced candidate that I feel confident that she's going to make a great president.
I'm Rob King for the DrumBeat.com.
Hillary Clinton has had to fight against her share of bad press. How it will affect her chances on Election Day remains to be seen. Coming up after the break, we'll check out Phi Theta Kappa's project to teach students how to handle violent situations.
And the newest fine arts production is kicking into gear. We'll be back before you know it.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Huntington! Every proper bear knows that the right fit means everything. Especially when it comes to car seats.
Oh, Billy, I just did what any bear would do.
So know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size.
I like it.
To learn more, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Oh, hello there.
Oh, where's that bear?
Welcome back to DrumBeat TV.
Confrontation is something we all try to avoid, but a reality we all have to face. It's in these moments where people don't normally know how to react, which can potentially lead to violent results. Ricardo Mexicano has more info on the recent forum against violence.
We all like to think that we know how to handle a violent situation, but rarely do the results prove otherwise. At the second annual Forum Against Violence, Fight to the Kappa hopes to inform the public on the correct way to act, with the theme this year being Just Walk Away. Co-Vice President of Leadership, Kofi Brady, spoke more on the issue.
I feel like there's a lot of people who think they know how to handle a situation, but when it gets into it, their ignorance probably takes over. I know you feel like to fight, here's the only way to get out, but if you can elaborate with people, bring them to the sense of reason, you can get further in life.
One of the highlights of the night was from Kelly Tessier, a survivor of domestic violence, who explicitly detailed her experience and now speaks to inform the public on the effects of violence.
It happens to everyone. I used to be in the Army. I know how to defend myself. He bounced me right off the floor, and I remember I spit blood all over the floor. I can tell you right now, leaving him was probably the hardest year of my life. I was homeless for over a month.
I believe domestic violence is the most prevalent form of violence because it doesn't just transcend the campus, it transcends home as well. People don't even realize that it's not just about being physically abused, it's also emotional abuse as well.
Domestic violence is not limited to the typical relationship. It can always strike from any angle.
It can be girlfriend and girlfriend, it can be boyfriend and boyfriend, it can be peer to peer. Domestic violence is domestic violence. Instead of, being nice and loving to one each other, we're at each other's throats, and we need to turn it around.
Some situations require a great deal of help, but other altercations can be solved at the lowest level possible.
Majority of the time, if just words are being exchanged and you're being cursed at, walking away, 100% effective.
In attendance were also various services that dealt with recovering from violence or avoiding potential violence.
We teach everything from how to defend yourself without a gun in your hand or knife, and also license to carry, advanced firearms training, active shooter response.
I'm with the Crisis Center, and what we do is we help survivors who've experienced domestic violence or sexual assault or sexual abuse, so they can come to us whether the incident happened recently, a few days ago, or years ago.
Just remember to always think before you act, or just simply walk away. I'm Ricardo Mexicano for the DrumBeat.com.
Nationwide, 17% of college students indicated that they had experienced some form of violence or harassment.
The Student Affairs Activity Council has been hard at work planning events like bingo and trivia nights. The next event, hosted by Student Affairs, will be on Monday, October 31st.
Having a scary movie trivia, and we're going to have two different rounds. We're having one at 12 and one at 2, and we're giving $50 in Apache bucks to each winner of each round. Each round is going to be different, so if someone doesn't win, they can try again in the second round.
The theater department is bringing the Shakespeare classic A Midsummer Night's Dream to the stage. The director and cast hope to bring joy and laughter to their audience. Here's the lowdown with Aji Saho.
A Midsummer Night's Dream, a play recognized for its fantasy intertwined with a love story, is being directed by Dr. Crawford and performed by his art students.
A Midsummer Night's Dream is a mishmash of everything in the world that can go wrong. You have three different worlds. You have the royalty, we have the lovers, you have the fairy world, you come over here to the rustics. All of this is going on all at the same time until we get it all straight in the end.
It's a giant, huge mess of chaos. There's these lovers chasing each other, and then there's these side characters called rustics who are just trying to impress the king, and one of their characters, Nick Bottom, gets in the mix of all of it and falls in love with one of these fairy queens, and it's just a huge mess of what's going on in awesomeness.
It's the perfect story because it brings in the fantasy, it brings in the love story, it brings in the violence, it brings in the adventure and the action. It's got everything.
Directing this play comes easy for Dr. Crawford as he's quite familiar with it.
Being that I've done this play, this is my favorite play. I've directed it 3 times. I've been in it once. I've seen it. I just love this play. It's just my favorite play. And so it's sort of like the best cookie you've ever had in the world. You want to eat more and more and more, and I want to do it over and over. I figure I won't be directing it anymore. This is the last time. This is the perfect opportunity to kiss it goodbye.
He also gets assistance from the students that are not performing in the play.
I'm one of the assistant directors, and basically we assist Doc, the director, and we help him if we have to help actors run their scenes and stuff.
I've got a wonderful, talented group of students. Just can do, want to do, can do, will do. And that kind of attitude, I'll rip my arms off for. So
The play will be performed at Gene Brown Theater and free for students that bring along their college ID.
Evening performances are at 7:30. The Sunday matinees at 2. November 16th through the 20th.
I'm Aji Saho for the DrumBeat.com.
Remember to bring your college ID for free admission.
The Apache Chiefs are now accepting new members for 2017. They're a leadership organization that helps students, especially freshmen, to transition smoothly into college and aid them through orientation. Applications can be filled out through OrgSync.
When we come back, we will examine an active shooter training in case the unthinkable comes to our school.
And Julia Contarelli digs up a healthy food scoop on the venue, an ongoing event at TJC. We'll be back faster than Sonic.
Morning, Gary. We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you? You know you do. Yeah, but I don't know where to start. That's why we're here. We're free, handsome. I think we're breathtaking. And here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, financial aid forms. Biology homework, G. I got this. Is that Bran? Colleges love extracurricular activities.
Chess really isn't my thing.
I got this. Doesn't matter. Go ahead. Picking a college, man. You and us. We go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos.
Fire and ice.
Those don't really go together.
Go to GetSchooled.com for more info.
Welcome back to DrumBeat TV. Students, staff, and parents have been worried about school shootings in the last few years. Mark Seguin offers a safety lecture to TJC students and concerned citizens about how we can act when a mass shooter is present.
Last week, Mark Seguin did a lecture on how to act when a shooter is around. Seguin has 3 ways to react: run, hide, and fight.
We needed to make sure that people knew how to respond to an active shooter event. And so, of course, TJC, the leadership here, just really saw the value because we do this training for so many other organizations around that they, asked me to come and do training with staff and students to better prepare them, for the unthinkable. Hopefully it'll never be used and never be needed, but if they do need it, they'll have some basic tools that they can use to save their lives as well as others.
The presentation also mentioned to look for anything out of the ordinary, look for stuff so you can prevent any event before it even starts to save lives.
The strategies that we take to, if we're on fire, we know this: stop, drop, and roll. If there's a fire in a building, we have alarm systems to get us out of there, and we take practice in those strategies. But when there's an active shooter on campus, really, there's nothing you can, or there isn't necessarily anything that you can do, but people don't necessarily know what to do, and that's the problem. And I liked the information was absolutely fantastic, and the attention to that information I could feel was also the same.
The program wants to keep 911 in your favorites, the campus police department number in your phone, and get the campus alert system so you can get a text alerts when people are in danger.
I think the number one thing I want them to learn is that the body cannot go where the mind has never been. And I want them to go back to their classroom, back to their dorms, and think about, what would it take for me to be able to barricade myself in here if I needed to, or where would I need to run? Where could I escape? What do I need to do to get the window open in that dorm? Does the window open? Just think about the contingencies.
I'm Andrew Rosenberger for the DrumBeat.com.
There are important steps that should be taken in any emergency situation. It's always helpful to remain prepared.
Las Mascaras hosts a total of 4 venues by year, and the upcoming will be Halloween themed.
Students are already rehearsing for the upcoming venue, but this time, together with all the performances, Las Mascaras will also have a contest for the best Halloween costume. According to theater majors, the last venue was full of laughs and tears.
Venue is like a talent show for the students, but it's not so much a talent show because we don't care who wins.
Last Halloween venue brought laughs to the audience on many of the performances. Geraldo Carrion was supposed to sing with a girl, but she changed her mind, so he performed both parts, the female and male voice.
Started singing as a male, and then started singing as a female, and everybody lost it. It was so much fun.
Not only did Geraldo perform a comedy, Brandon McQueen also made a fun performance.
I see a little silhouette of a man, Scaramouche, Scaramouche, can you do the fandango? Thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frightening. Me Galileo, Galileo, Magnifico.
All TJC students are invited to present at the TJC venue. You don't have to be involved with arts or theater.
The upcoming venue will be on October 29 on the Gene Brown Theater from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. I am Julia Contarelli for the DrumBeat.com.
To be able to perform, a TJC student ID will need to be presented. For more information, contact DCRAA at tjc.edu or join the Facebook page TJC Venue.
Tyler Junior College Theater Department offers a class that is unlike any other. It is offered as an alternative for theater appreciation and extends the talent of students in the program even further than they had dreamed. Fairy Tale Theater is a course that is offered both in fall and spring semesters. Throughout the course, students prepare a classic fairy tale, and during the month of November, the class will travel to different elementary schools to perform.
We have honor students who will take their 1310 credit in the form of fairy tale theater rather than a normal theater appreciation class. It's specialized. We spend half the semester preparing fairy tale scripts, which are taken from children's literature, and then we will spend all this time preparing scripts, rehearsing, and preparing to perform. The semester we will travel to elementary schools in the area, and we will perform these for approximately 5,000-6,000 children. This semester we have a talent base of students that's strong enough so that what we do is we give them a regular classic fairy tale, one that is ages and ages and eons old. We give them the story, and then they will, through rehearsal, they will eventually come up with an extemporaneous style of performance that will basically write itself.
When we come back, News Director Rob King brings Daniel Seguin into the studio to discuss Student Senate.
Student Senate is a concept that goes over the head of many who simply show up for class. We asked Daniel to clarify the finer points and tell us why it matters. We'll be back in what you might call
a jiffy.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. Even though we are one of the most food-rich countries in the world, 15 million children don't know where their next meal is coming from. This is unacceptable, and something the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks is working to solve. Instead of accepting that our country lets billions of pounds of surplus food go to waste every year, Feeding America has made it their mission to help families in need by rescuing this food. Through food pantries and meal programs, the nationwide network of food banks provides more than 3 billion meals, serving virtually every community in the United States, including yours. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank by visiting feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Welcome back to DrumBeat TV. Here in the studio with us today, we have Daniel Seguin, President of Student Senate. Thank you for joining us today, Daniel.
Of course. Pleasure to be here.
So what is your official position within Student Senate, and what does that entail?
So I am the
sophomore president of the Student Senate, and basically I'm just chairing the main Senate meetings, and I chair the executive officer meetings.
Excellent. So how did you reach your position? Obviously, I know that elections are done in order to achieve office in Student Senate.
Sure.
How are elections conducted and ran?
So the elections are conducted, anyone can petition for office. You have to have at least a 2.3 GPA and be at least a part-time student to petition for office. Otherwise, there's not really any kind of requirements. You petition, then there's a deadline, and we have a campaign meeting where we explain the guidelines of how you can campaign. And then a week later, there's 2 days worth of campaigning and voting available to the campaigntees and the people voting.
Excellent. And what are the qualifications to be a member of Student Senate?
Sure. To be a senator, you have to have at least a 2.3 GPA, of course, and at least 6 credit hours enrolled in the school.
And so what sorts of things does Student Senate, have a say in, and how can it affect change on campus?
Sure. So right now we're actually revamping that a little bit. We're moving more towards like other schools where we have committees and they go out, they research specific issues, they figure out what the students want, and they create proposals that they then present to the administration. And they actually pull a lot of weight within the administration. They consider what we've done, they consider how many people are interested in the change, and they move forward with that, how much it'll cost, different things like that. We can affect large amounts of change on campus.
Fantastic. And so what is the process for making decisions in Student Senate? How are actions then carried out?
Okay. So within Student Senate, you will have a committee. The committee will present an idea to the entire Student Senate. The Senate will then proceed to discussions. You can have 3 people for the issue, 3 people against the issue that will speak. Then they proceed to a vote, and it's just majority vote on the issue. So, all in favor say aye, all opposed say nay. Usually it's very clear in that case. Otherwise, we can do a vote by people raising their hand, standing up, or a written ballot.
Wonderful. So what advice can you give to someone aspiring to hold a position within Student Senate?
Sure. My best advice is to attend some meetings. They're every Tuesday, of course, at 4 o'clock in J1109. It's always been that way. It will always stay the same. I encourage people to come there, talk to us, figure out, get a feel for the way Student Senate is, the responsibilities, how much time commitment there is, and what the benefits are of being in Student Senate. There are some benefits that a lot of people don't realize. And so I just encourage people to just come get involved, come talk to us, and for sure there are lots of positions open for people, anybody interested in getting involved.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio today, Daniel.
Of course. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you. You're watching DrumBeat TV. We'll be right back.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back to the DrumBeat TV.
The Halloween dance is going to be tomorrow, October 27th in Rogers Spirit Rooms, located next to the Rogers Student Center Dining Hall. There will be a costume contest and a new addition is being added this year. Here's reporter Bradley Vernon with the details.
The Rogers Student Center, we have the Student Affairs Office.
We just kind of look at the calendars and see, make sure that there are activities for the students, continuously. We try to not leave, a gap to where there's nothing going on campus. And then when it comes to bigger events, we just try to have one at least, a big event at least once a month.
Be prepared to be scared. Then break it down on the dance floor.
So we're going to have the haunted house in the spirit room. It's going to lead into the patio rooms where we're having the dance.
Don't forget to show out for the costume contest.
We're gonna have a costume contest like we did last year, except we're adding a few more categories this year.
You don't have to be in the contest to put your finest costume on.
But yeah, everyone else is welcome and encouraged to still dress up for the dance.
I'm Brad Vernon for the DrumBeat.com.
There will be multiple categories for the costume contest, and there will be prizes awarded.
Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to catch our next broadcast on Wednesday, November 9th at 6 p.m.
Remember, you can always find the latest news at thedrumbeat.com.
The opinions expressed here are those of the students and do not necessarily reflect the positions of Tyler Junior College.